Friedrich Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil. Delve into the mind of Friedrich Nietzsche through the encapsulating summary of his masterpiece, Beyond Good and Evil. This summary aims at highlighting Nietzsche's core criticisms and insights into the Western philosophical tradition, the implications of Christianity on morality, and the fallacy of eternal truths. As we explore Nietzsche's exposure of presuppositions in philosophical thought, his dissection of the self, and the inherently animalistic nature of humanity, you will also be introduced to his influential philosophy of perspectivism. Get ready for a compelling journey into the rich world of Nietzsche's thoughts, and be prepared to question and reassess conventional wisdom.
Unveiling Philosophy's Hidden Prejudices. Ever since Descartes' declaration, "I think, therefore I am," Western philosophy has been deeply fixated on pursuing thought processes from first principles, without undermining any preconceived notions. However, Nietzsche refuted the idea of forming a philosophical framework without any assumptions. He humorously exposed the covert prejudices that philosophers unknowingly carried in their teachings, especially the strong influence of Christian dogmas within Western philosophical tradition. Nietzsche believed that philosophers falsely portrayed their own prejudices as rational arguments, stating that every philosophy is an autobiography of its creator. In reality, it is impossible to engage in philosophy without making assumptions and embracing unjustified prejudices that may appear obvious only because they are deeply ingrained in one's worldview. In the following sections, we will explore how Nietzsche dismantled these prejudices further, demonstrating the unexamined assumptions underlying previous philosophical theories. The illusion of unified self. Contrary to popular belief, Nietzsche proposes that the concept of a unified and consistent self is simply an illusion. He reminds us that humans, like other species, are driven by a collection of diverse and sometimes contradictory forces which all stem from the underlying motivation, the will to power. Our true motivations are often shrouded by this inherent drive, and it may be best for us to accept this complex nature of humankind rather than search for a beautifully crafted lie. We often imagine ourselves as single, coherent entities with steadfast morals and motivations. However, Nietzsche challenges this conceptualization of our identity, inherited from Christian influences. According to Nietzsche, our sense of self is not unified; instead, it is a complex, often conflicting mix of passions, desires, and drives competing for attention and conscious manifestation. What ties these disjointed forces together is the will to power, an intrinsic drive to assert dominance and control. This concept from Nietzsche lays bare the post-Darwinian conundrum: are we not, in essence, beasts seeking to propagate and maintain power over weaker beings? Philosophers and religious doctrines have long attempted to cloak this unpalatable image of humanity, preferring to hold on to the notion that humans are elevated and more righteous than other animals. Despite the painstaking efforts to dignify our existence, our bestial nature remains intact beneath layers of pious adornment. In light of this perspective, one must question our genuine motivations for seemingly selfless actions. For instance, when we help a person in need, could it be that our decision is influenced by attraction or ulterior motives rather than pure altruism? Acknowledging the inherent duality of human nature, Nietzsche suggests that acquiring a full understanding of our motives may be impossible or perhaps even unnecessary. After all, confronting the uncomfortable truth about our own nature may prove too challenging for many. In conclusion, Nietzsche's exploration of the self upends the commonly held belief in a singular and unchanging identity. Instead, he compellingly argues that who we think we are is but an illusion, a delicate balance of contradictory forces driven by the overriding will to power. While the quest to understand our true motivations might be tempting, Nietzsche advises us to look within and confront the harsh reality of our bestial side, rather than clinging to a blissful, yet fallacious tale of our own creation. Debunking eternal truths. We've long been told that there are eternal truths, unchanging facts about the world. Such ideas date back to Plato's philosophy, where abstract entities like justice and beauty exist outside human experience. However, Nietzsche contradicts this dogma with his philosophy of perspectivism, arguing that the world of experience is the only true reality and these truths are just components of our language, allowing for a diverse range of perspectives. Through this lens, philosophy becomes a form of the will to power, with great minds influencing others' ways of thinking. Philosophy is a product of human thought and intellect that has evolved over centuries. One of the most persistent beliefs of this discipline dates back to the teachings of Plato, who introduced the concept of eternal and unchanging truths. According to this dogma, abstract ideas like justice and beauty exist in some metaphysical plane, free from human experience. However, it's time to question and dismantle this foundational notion. Enter Nietzsche, a bold philosopher known for challenging previously held ideals. He claims that the world we perceive and experience is the only real truth, dismissing the probability of these ethereal ideas existing independently. Instead, Nietzsche suggests that concepts like justice and beauty are merely human constructions. These conceptual tools were established to help us navigate and simplify the seemingly chaotic world we inhabit. In further emphasis, Nietzsche asserts that since people have diverse experiences and communicate in unique ways, it is only natural for perspectives to vary. Consequently, we witness an abundance of opinions about the world. This core understanding defines his philosophy of perspectivism, believing that no objective view can transcend individual context and language. For Nietzsche, truth is determined by the multiplicity of human experiences. Notably, his criticism of other philosophers is centered on their attempts to impose their beliefs on everyone else, speaking as if their viewpoint is the only valid outlook. Nonetheless, he acknowledges the tendency of humans to sway others into adopting their mode of thinking. This is where Nietzsche sees the connection between philosophy and the will to power. Gifted thinkers use their rationale and eloquence to persuade others, shaping their language and thoughts to align with their own perspective. According to Nietzsche, this ability to influence makes philosophy the most spiritual expression of the will to power. In essence, the will to power and philosophy intertwine to create an ever-evolving spectrum of ideas and beliefs, thus shattering the illusion of eternal truths. Questioning Christian morality. Nietzsche challenges traditional Christian morality, arguing that it diminishes the individual by prioritizing the needs of the group over the unique qualities and drives of each person. He believes this value system not only suppresses personal desires and passions for the sake of others, but also causes individuals to turn their will to power inward, becoming the target of their own violence. Instead of accepting these moral standards, Nietzsche encourages questioning whether they genuinely serve or diminish us. In Nietzsche's view, what is Christian morality and how does it impact individuals? This concept encompasses virtues such as generosity, kindness, modesty, pity, and empathy, which prioritize the welfare of others over self-interest. While many philosophers have sought to provide a rational foundation for this morality, Nietzsche daringly questions whether it is even a beneficial value system. Christian morality, Nietzsche argues, serves the group at the expense of the individual's personal growth and development. He believes that values are not inherently objective, rather, they're linked to the individuals who uphold them. For instance, modesty and self-renunciation may be advantageous to scientists but detrimental to inspiring leaders. In this light, it's crucial to assess whether our values enhance us or hold us back, and if the latter, whether we should let them go. According to Nietzsche, Christian morality ultimately diminishes each person by acting as a suppressive force that aims to keep individuals docile and harmless within society. This so-called herd morality has effectively tamed humanity and diluted its once powerful instincts. He contrasts the contemporary Europeans' meek nature to the fierce barbarians of the past, suggesting that something has gone awry in our moral development. Nietzsche claims that the turning point was when society embraced a value system more concerned with relationships to others than our connection to ourselves. Christian morality encourages self-imposed limitations, seeking to suppress our desires and passions for the benefit of others. While it may have successfully curbed humanity's violent tendencies, this energy has not vanished, instead, it has been redirected inward. Now, through the principles of Christianity, individuals unknowingly invert their will to power, becoming the focus of their own aggression. To break free from this self-destructive cycle, Nietzsche compels us to question the usefulness of our values and whether they truly serve or weaken us as unique beings. Origins of master and slave morality. Nietzsche urges us to examine the culturally invented roots of our values, revealing that there isn't just one morality, but different values that have governed various peoples throughout history. He identifies two primary types, master morality and slave morality, with modern European morality originating from slave morality. Master morality, seen in ancient societies like Greece, encourages life-affirming values, while slave morality condemns and suppresses the life of stronger spirits. When pondering our values' origins, it's tempting to search within ourselves for an everlasting truth intrinsic to human nature. However, it's tough to grasp that concepts such as love or empathy might be cultural inventions. Nietzsche invites us to entertain this idea, reminding us that history has shown that multiple moralities exist, governing different people at different times. Conflicting values can even be seen within distinct classes of the same society. Nietzsche specifies two foundational moralities relating to the two primary classes, master morality and slave morality. For instance, the ruling class of pre-Christian societies like ancient Greece endorsed a value system quite different from today's. Instead of viewing the world through good and evil, they considered it through the lens of good and bad. They defined good as whatever came naturally to them, such as freedom, wealth, power, and sensuality, while bad encompassed the opposites. Nietzsche labels this master morality, a system embracing life-affirming values and praising the self, contributing to content and pleasurable existence. Conversely, enslaved people subscribed to a different value system vilifying their oppressors. Nietzsche traces the origin of evil to this perspective. Fearing, envying, and resenting their oppressors, enslaved individuals deemed the ruling class's qualities evil, while labeling traits easing life's suffering, like generosity, kindness, and pity, as good. This slave morality distinguishes itself by denying life, disapproving of, suppressing, and restraining the lives and spirits of stronger individuals. Nietzsche perceives Christianity as a powerful instrument for spreading slave morality. Slave morality infiltrated and seeped into the ruling class as Christianity took precedence in Rome during the 3rd century AD. Ultimately, our modern European morality hails from this life-denying origin known as slave morality. The paradox of equality. Christianity's spread played a role in fostering notions of equality in society. However, according to Nietzsche, this belief in equality actually poses a threat to culture and progress. It is argued that distinct value systems suit different people, rather than imposing a universal moral code that stifles creativity and independent thinking. For society to advance, Nietzsche calls for recognition and support of exceptional minds and their unique contributions. Once upon a time, as Christianity spread across the globe, societies began to embrace a sense of equality. Ideas like divine justice in heaven and equality before the eyes of God worked to break down age-old beliefs that certain classes of people were fundamentally different from others. Some may have seen this as progress, but Nietzsche warns against taking this newfound egalitarianism too far. For Nietzsche, being truly honest about moving beyond the Christian doctrine means releasing the rigid grasp on the concept of equality. With the loss of that mythology that equalizes everyone in the afterlife, people can only be compared by their bodies and minds while they live on earth. From this perspective, humans are inherently unequal, possessing different abilities, health, strengths, and intelligence. Therefore, Nietzsche challenges the notion that one moral system fits all. He argues that specific value systems cater to various individuals, and the prevailing morality may actually impede the growth of those with a more distinct, independent taste. Christian morality, with its insistence on universalizing one set of values, stunts the creative potential of exceptional minds and hinders cultural progress. Its one-size-fits-all approach is intolerant of other ways of life, leading to a homogenized society where people abide by the same values, and subsequently, display similar behavior and thought patterns. In Nietzsche's time, society was anything but tolerant of deviation from the norm. Independent thinkers attempting to challenge conventions faced hostility, which troubled Nietzsche. This was because he believed that society could only advance through the creative efforts of independent minds, be it in science, philosophy, or arts. Exceptional individuals have the power to shape innovation, theory, and culture. Rather than adhering to a moral code that suppresses diverse thought, Nietzsche argues that society should encourage and support inequality to allow genius to manifest and make an impact on the world. Greatness is not as scarce as the social conditions that nurture and support it. As such, politics should focus on fostering environments where independent thought can thrive, rather than maintaining the illusion of equality. Embracing the free spirits. Nietzsche's philosophy may initially seem pessimistic, but he envisions a brighter future led by a new breed of philosopher called free spirits. These thinkers will liberate themselves from the dogmas of past and present, developing a unique synthesis of master and slave moralities that guide their disciplined values. Breaking free from the constraints of eternal truth, free spirits will playfully experiment with ideas, embracing the roles of both creators and challengers in society. While it's understandable to perceive Nietzsche's ideas as bleak and disheartening, establishing the elusiveness of objective truth, the primal instincts of humans, and the moral and cultural decline of 19th-century European society, there is indeed optimism. He foresees a new wave of philosophers, whom he calls free spirits, who will rise and lead Europe towards a more promising horizon. These free spirits are characterized by their self-mastery and willingness to establish values of their own making. They also display a unique playfulness and adaptability regarding their perspectives. Nietzsche predicts that these philosophers will liberate themselves from the shackles of societal dogmas, facilitating a transformative way of thinking. To create this new paradigm, free spirits must transcend conventional slave morality without reverting to the simplistic, self-serving master morality. Instead, they merge the best aspects of both, adopting a novel moral compass. As masters, they seize control of their lives and establish their own values. Simultaneously, they self-impose the discipline required to adhere to those values, much like slaves. The purpose of this self-discipline is not to suppress innate animalistic drives but mold them into positive, productive endeavors, such as the creation of extraordinary art. By rejecting the idea of eternal truth, free spirits rise above doctrinal limitations, enabling them to embrace diverse philosophies and ideas with an open-minded, experimental approach. They comfortably don multiple perspectives as lenses without ever fully committing to one worldview. This unrestrained approach also applies to the conventional concepts of good and evil, which Nietzsche deems outdated and stifling. Free spirits recognize them as cultural constructs of their era, rather than everlasting notions. The invitation for us is to follow in the footsteps of these future philosophers, casting off the constraints of our present thinking and embracing the boundless potential of creative thought and innovation.
Throughout the summary of Beyond Good and Evil, we ventured into the complexities of Nietzsche's critique of Western philosophy, morality, and the human condition. We looked at the difficulties of doing philosophy without making assumptions, the illusion of a unified self, the absence of eternal truths, the problematic nature of Christian morality, and the potential evolution of exceptional minds. Ultimately, Nietzsche's hope lies in the emergence of a new type of philosopher, the free spirits, who embody self-mastery while maintaining a sense of playfulness and flexibility in their perspective. These individuals will break free from dogmas, embracing various perspectives and channel human instincts towards greater objectives. By revisiting and challenging traditional notions, Nietzsche's thought-provoking philosophy encourages us to contemplate our own beliefs, inviting us to partake in the intellectual evolution that he hoped would shape the future.